Hey guys, generic PTCGO YouTuber here. I gotta stop doing that. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. But today, guys, we're gonna be doing the best decks in Legacy. Now, originally I was gonna do a top 10 or top 5 video, like maybe like the top 10, top 5 best decks in Legacy to use, which honestly I wanted to do. I might do that in the future. I don't know if the format changes, even though it'll never change because it's literally just the same sets over and over again, no new sets. But you know what? I was like, let's hit on with our bop and let's just throw in every single Legacy deck that is popular, mash them into one video so we can talk about them, why they're good, and kind of just go over a brief explanation why they're good. And guys, I feel like this is going to be a fun video to make because Legacy is personally my favorite format on PTCGO. Like, it's so nostalgic. I love playing this format because I used to play back in the, competitively, in real life, back in the days of, Hercule, so Silver, Black, and White. I stopped playing around, Plasma Freeze, Plasma Blast, just because it got too expensive, and I was like, I'm not gonna bother paying this much money for a card game. But anyways, let's do it. So, again, this is going to be going over every single deck. I'm not going to be providing the deck list. I know people get salty at this because this is just like my best decks in standard video I like to do every month. But I'm not going to be providing the deck list. I'm just going to be showing what the main card of the deck is. So if you get salty, I don't know what you're doing. Anyways, let's start this off with Lugia here. Now, Team Plasma is probably it's one of the best decks that you will find in Legacy. Team Plasma has a lot to go for. It's got Thunderous EX, which gets you energy back, but you can go different routes with your Team Plasma build. You can go Team Plasma with Lugia, where Lugia has the ability Overflow, where if your opponent's Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, you take one more prize. So you're going to take, 3 prizes on an EX. That is insane. Now you're probably like, well, Plasma Gale only does 120. Yeah, but when you combo it with Deoxys EX, when it has this ability that allows these Plasma decks to work, Power Connect works really nicely, and it allows these kind of Plasma decks to be very good, mainly thanks to Deoxys. Plasma, sure, it has Plasma Ball, Chorus Machine, but Deoxys really makes those decks powerful, and you could go with the Lugia route and go straight Lugia, Team Plasma, where you could go for the straight knockout, or you can go the Kyurem route, which is arguably more popular, because Kyurem is a one-prize, thing that your opponent can knock out, but it is also good because it has Blizzard Burn, which basically is the same strength as Lugia's attack, except you don't take the extra prize, but some people would prefer Kyurem because it has 2 attacks, one decent one, and then again, you're only going to be taking 1 prize when this thing gets knocked, or not you, but your opponent would only take 1 prize when Kyurem gets knocked out. Some people do like to go this route of Kyurem Team Plasma, so you know what? You can go that route. So it's between Lugia or Kyurem. If you want to go your Team Plasma, you can mash them together too, but it's, normally it's either the Kyurem or the Lugia route. Some people don't like running the straight Lugia play just in case they run into a Sigilus Suicune or whatever. So yeah, that is Team Plasma. Team Plasma is one of the top tier decks in Legacy. Then we got your Darkrai builds, and I know, here come the roasts. You don't have full art Darkrai from Dark Explorers. Here come the roasts. Comment down below the roast. Go ahead, roast me. But anyways, Darkrai, it's another very popular Legacy deck. Because basically with Dark Patch, Lasers, Sableye, all this crazy stuff that just combos nicely, Darkrai EX is super good with those kind of combos. Night Spear is a good attack. It has a great ability. It's weak to fighting, which is a pretty rough weakness in my opinion, just because Terrakion, Donphan Prime, Lander, stuff we'll talk about, really hurts Darkrai a lot. But Darkrai is still good. Dark Cloak, great ability. Night Spear, great attack. Just in general, Darkrai is a solid attacker, and you'll see these dark decks in Legacy mainly thanks to Darkrai's attacks, Sableye, Dark Patch. You'll see Absols in those decks, so Darkrai decks are also very much tier 1. We're kind of going to be categorizing these decks as tier 1, tier 1.5, and tier 2, even though there's not really any tier 2s in here. There's a few, but anyways, moving on to arguably the most popular Legacy deck that I always run into is Weavile Eggs. Weavile is very powerful with its attack Vilify for 2 energies, which again you can use with Dark Patch. You got Sableye to work with, very nice. Vilify, discard as many Pokemon as you like from your hand, does 30 damage times the number of Pokemon you discarded. Very good because you use this with Execute, which you can run 4 in your discard, boom, 120, and then you discard other things like Little Leap. You can discard all kinds of different Pokemon, or just in general discard other Pokemon and knock them out. Take big one-hit knockouts on EXs. Weavile Eggs is really, really popular in Legacy. And it's a very powerful deck. Even when I'm running Mewtwo Lando Garbodor, which is like literally this deck's worst matchup, it still sometimes beats me. So again, Weavile, very strong deck. You're going to run into a ton of Weavile legs in Legacy. It's a great deck. Then you got Garchomp builds. This is more of a tier 1.5 build. It's popular because it works well with Gabite, and you got Altaria. Altaria is kind of what gives Garchomp even more strength, because you can use Altaria to make Mach Cut do even more damage, combo it with Verbank Laser, Silver Bangle. You can make Garchomp into a complete tank of an attacker. Garchomp Altaria is a very good deck in Legacy, a deck I want to try out very soon, and it's such a good deck. And again, it's more of a tier 1.5 deck. It does have its matchups, you know. It's decent against, like, special energy heavy decks, because Mach Cut discards special energy, but against some decks, like even Rayquaza, or, you know, Virizion Genesect, those kind of decks kind of shut the deck down, but it's still a good deck. Then we got Ray Eels. Now, I made a video on this deck on Friday of last week, and this is a very, very, very good deck. Rayquaza Eels, very powerful. Dragon Burst, very good attack. I already went over that in my video, so you can go check it out if you want. But anyways, Rayquaza Eels, very popular variant. There's also Rayquaza Emboar, which is another version of this deck, but it's not as popular, mainly because you don't really have much versatility with the Emboar. I mean, you got Reshiram, but with Electric, you can use stuff like Raikou, you can use Zekrom, and really with Emboar, you're really stuck to just Reshiram and maybe Rayquaza Deoxys Legend, but that's really it. But Rayquaza, definitely a popular variant. You know, there's two versions you can run it with. You know, the electric version, the most popular version, or you can run it with the Emboar version, the more and less known version. Here we got arguably the best deck in Legacy, and that is going to be Landorus Garbodor Mewtwo, or just Landorus Garbodor. Landorus EX is super powerful. It has two great attacks. Hammerhead, 1 for 30, 30 damage, 1 of your opponent's match Pokemon. Extremely good. Land's Judgment can be a good attack too, but mainly you're going to see Landorus being comboed with Garbodor. Now, Garbodor is extremely powerful because it has an ability that shuts down all other abilities when a tool's on it. This will shut down so many decks. Like, it'll shut down the Executes for Weavile Eggs, it'll shut down Darkrai's ability, it'll shut down Deoxys, it'll shut down stuff like Blastoise. Very, very powerful ability. It'll shut down Electric too. Like, this will shut down a majority of the Legacy decks that you'll run into, so people really like running Garbodor. Even with Tool Scrapper, you got Junk Arm to get back your Float Stones. So, Garbodor, Landorus, very powerful deck, very popular deck. There's different versions. I've seen Garbodor, Landorus, Cobalion, Garbodor, Landorus, Tracky, and Donphan. I've seen Garbodor, Landorus, Mewtwo, the version I like to play. Very, very powerful deck. And even Landorus is just good in a lot of decks anyways that use Fighting Energies, or just Prism Energies, Rainbow Energies, stuff like that. Donphan Prime variants are pretty popular. Now, I covered a Donphan Dragons deck, which isn't a, you know, it's more of a tier 2 deck. But Donphan Evolutions is popular, and then, you know, there's Donphan Garbodor, Donphan Landorus. Donphan Prime is one of the best Prime Pokemon ever. It's super powerful. You're going to run into Donphan Prime here and there. It's not too competitive. It's more of a tier 2 deck, or a tier 1.5-ish kind of deck, but you will find Donphan. Then we got Typhlosion Prime. Typhlosion Prime is popular mainly thanks to the fact that it has a Poke Power and not an ability, but you do need to get multiple in play. Now, Typhlosion is mainly played with Reshiram, so you're mainly going to run into Reshiram Typhlosion decks, which is probably the most popular version of Reshiram. It's more popular than Emboar Reshiram, just because Typhlosion gives you access to its Poke Power instead of relying on abilities, so if Garbodor gets in play, you don't have to worry about those matchups. So, again, Typhlosion Prime, it's pretty nice with Reshiram. You don't see it played with anything else, just Reshiram, but again, it's a very popular Prime Pokemon, along with Donphan Prime, and Reshiram, it goes greatly with it. So you might run into these Reshiram decks. We got Ninetales, Amoonguss decks. These are more of a rogue kind of deck. If you're really looking for a good budget deck for Legacy, boom, here you go. Ninetales, Amoonguss. Amoonguss, Ninetales, very good. Amoonguss confuses and poisons your opponent, and then with Hex Flame, Silver Bangle, Verbank City Gym, great combo. It will knock out most EXs, and Ninetales is a very good card because it even has an ability Bright Look, which you can bring something up and knock it out. So it's basically a built-in Lysander as an ability when you play it down. Very popular. Well, not popular, but it's more, again, this is more of a tier 1.5, tier 2 deck. It's, like I said, it's more of a rogue deck. Like, you're not going to see this deck too often. You know, again, if you're looking for a budget deck, boom, here you go, Ninetales and Amoonguss. Another deck I want to cover, there's so many Legacy decks I want to cover, but I don't want to make a Legacy channel, you know what I mean? Now, Genesect. Genesect, Celebi, Virizion is literally, like, probably it could be the best deck. Mainly because Genesect has G-Booster to work with, and it even has Red Signal, it has Megalo Cannon, all kinds of stuff. Mainly, G-Booster is what makes Genesect good, and even with 3 energies for its G-Booster attack, you still have Celebi Prime, you got Virizion EX to power it up. The Genesect Virizion is already a great deck, but when you pair with Celebi and Sky Arrow Bridge, it's an insane combo. So Genesect Celebi Virizion is a very powerful deck. If people are always like, why is Celebi Prime so expensive? Like, I don't want to pay 50, well not 50 packs, but I don't want to pay like that many packs for Celebi Prime. Why is it so pricey? Here you go. Genesect, it makes it pricey. So, boom. Genesect deck's very popular. Now we got a Selgor variant. See, again, this is more of a roguey kind of deck. I'm surprised I don't see much more Selgor, because it is a pretty powerful deck. You can use a Selgor with Gothitelle. You can use a Selgor with all kinds of different things, to be honest with you. Obviously, you don't have the Selgor Trevenant, which is a great deck for, like, maybe expanded. Maybe not anymore, but it once was. But again, a Selgor, Gothitelle could be a good deck. A Selgor, Kirimi X. I don't know. I'm just thinking a Mew Primus Selgor is another deck. So Selgor, again, it's more of a roguey deck. I'm surprised Selgor doesn't see as much play. It is a pretty powerful deck. It's very annoying. And then we got Raikou. Raikou just combos nicely with the Electric. You're not going to see straight Raikou Electric. It's usually just used in those Electric Toolbox decks. You could use, with Mewtwo, Rayquaza. You'll see a few Raikous in those decks. Volt Bolt, very powerful attack at taking out Garbodor and just great attack in general. It's a very good card, and you'll see it with these electric decks. And, woo, speaking of electric, we got ya boy Electric right here, looking pretty, looking mean. Electric, the Stage 1 Wonder, and Dynamotor, very nice ability, and you're going to see this being played with Rayquaza. You might even see just, Electric Zekrom, just straight up Electric Zekrom. You don't, running anything else. You'll see Electric Raikou, maybe Electric Mewtwo. Electric is a very powerful card. It is another one of those top decks you'll see in Legacy, are just electric decks in general. And Electric, it's basically the same thing. I don't even know why I'm even trying. But Electric is a great deck. Very powerful. One of the top decks. You'll see it either with a Rayquaza or Raikou, as stated before. Then we got Aggron mill decks. And going into our mill decks anyways, yeah, we do got Aggron. Aggron is a lot more roguey. Like, I've seen people talk about this deck before, but I've never ran into this Aggron mill deck on PTCGO and Legacy in my life, which is kind of weird. But again, it's a very nice deck. Top lane Wind can work when you got it with Devo Spray, Junk Arm, all kinds of stuff. Aggron definitely can work well. I don't run into it. It could be a nice budget mill deck if you're looking to mill people. Then we got Durant. This is a mill deck I'm testing in Legacy right now. It's working pretty well for me. I've been winning a decent amount of games with this Durant mill deck. Durant has the attack Devour. You can discard the top 4 cards of your opponent's deck just for having 4 Durant in play. That is insane. Durant is such a great... It's such a good card, and again, you'll see it in these sort of milly kind of decks when people are looking to play. You'll run a Durant, and then boom, you'll get milled. Durant can work nicely with Junk Arm and Life Dew. There's all kinds of combos with Durant, and Durant, it's a good mill deck. It's probably better than Aggron. I don't run into this too much, also, but again, it's a mill deck for Legacy, and I like my mill decks. Mill decks are pretty fun to play, as example with Houndoom, Bunnelby. Then we got Scizor Prime, another Prime deck, and I know I'm about to get roasted for not having a single Scizor Prime, and I had to use the gray version of the card. Yeah, roast me all you want, but I'm just kidding. But Scizor Prime, another deck that kind of slips under the radar a little bit as being good. It has a pretty good Pokebody, where prevent all damage done to this thing by your opponent's Pokemon that have special energy on it. A lot of decks run special energy in Legacy, so boom, there you go. They won't be able to damage Scizor Prime. Metal Scissors is not a bad attack either. Scizor Prime is another kind of underrated Prime deck. You might see, like, Mega Magnezone 2, I guess. There you go, I don't know, but we got Deoxys EX2. Deoxys, again, you'll see this with Plasma. I kind of already went over that. Don't need to go over it again, but again, Deoxys there. You might see Deoxys maybe in, like, other decks that are not really, like, Team Plasma centered, but have Team Plasma cards in them, like maybe Snorlax or, like, Flareon or Leafeon or something like that. We got Mewtwo. Mewtwo, this isn't, like, you won't see a strict Mewtwo deck. Maybe, like, Mewtwo Electrode, Mewtwo Electric, Mewtwo Garbodor, Mewtwo Emboar, I don't know, stuff like that. But Mewtwo is a great tech card. You will run into a lot of Mewtwo in Legacy because people will tech a few Mewtwo's in their deck just because it's such a good card with X-Ball. X-Ball is a very powerful attack, and it's just super powerful. You'll run into a lot of Mewtwo in Legacy. Not every deck will run them, but most decks will tech in a few Mewtwo's. You might see that Mewtwo War coming back. Man, I remember Next Destiny. Like, that brings back memories back when everyone ran like 4 Mewtwo's in their deck. Damn. Remember that. Then we got Tool Drop. This is a cool deck that you see in Legacy. Tool Drop, basically, 20 damage times the number of tools attached to your Pokemon. You got Sigilif from Plasma Blast, which allows you to play a ton more tools on your Trubbish. It's pretty good, and it works pretty nicely. Obviously, its big weakness is Garbodor, ironically, but Tool Drop is a very good attack. And it's a pretty good deck. It's another rogue kind of budget deck. More of like a tier 2, tier 1.5 deck. It's still fairly popular. Like, I do run into a good amount of tool drops here and there when I'm playing Legacy. So again, Trubbish, tool drop, very, very nice deck. You'll see this sometimes in Legacy. Not as popular. And then obviously, again, we got Garbodor variants. Garbodor mainly used with big basics like Landorus, Mewtwo, Cobalion. Stuff like that. But Garbodor is so powerful. It shuts down so many Legacy decks. Like, it's so insane. So you gotta watch out for Garbodor. If you're making a Legacy deck, tech in a couple Tool Scrappers just for Garbodor, because it shuts down a lot of those Legacy decks. We got Keldeo. Keldeo isn't like, it is a deck. You'll see Blastoise Keldeo here and there. I made a Feraligatr Prime Keldeo video last week. But Keldeo, you'll see it with Blastoise. You'll see it, just by itself. Keldeo is a pretty good card. And you'll see it with just as a tech card with Floatstone, because Russian is a super good ability with Floatstone and stuff like that. You'll see it in stuff like Darkrai. You'll probably see it in Team Plasma. You'll definitely see it in like electric variants. You'll see it in Blastoise sometimes if you ever run into Blastoise Keldeo. That's another popular deck because Blastoise is fairly easy to get thanks to multiple copies of them, and then also you got like the Blastoise Keldeo battle deck thing, which is another reason why you'll see a lot of Keldeo, Mewtwo, Darkrai in Legacy. Again, we already went over Kyurem, it's good with Team Plasma. And then we got Empoleon variants. Now, Empoleon Dusknoir is a pretty good deck. Again, it's one of those under-the-radar decks. It can be great, though. With a lot of Landers in Legacy, Empoleon could work really nicely. Only one energy attack command, great attack. You'll see Empoleon, not by itself, but you'll see it with Dusknoir. Dusknoir has that Sinister Hand ability, and Empoleon works nicely with Dusknoir, so you might run into those Empoleon Dusknoir decks. Rounding things out, we got the Blastoise decks. Again, Blastoise, you'll see with Keldeo, but you might also see it with Black Kyurem EX. Black Kyurem EX has, a lot, it's got that attack to do 200 damage with Black Ballista. And without Mega Pokemon in Legacy, that works really nicely. So, Blastoise, Black Kyurem is a deck you might run into. Blastoise Keldeo you'll probably run into. It's another popular deck in Legacy is Blastoise Keldeo. A lot of people play it because it can be a budget deck because it's so easy to get Blastoises and Keldeos. So, again, Blastoise Keldeo, boom, there you go. Blastoise variants, boom. So these are all the Legacy decks that I think are fairly popular in Legacy. I might have missed out a few. I mean, maybe some honorable mentions could be like stuff like Mew Prime Box, Vileplume Box, The Truth, maybe if you run into The Truth, Magnazonia Mega. I never run into that deck though, even though it was popular back in the day. Maybe like a Legend Box deck using like Lugia Legend or like Entei Raikou Legend or like Rayquaza Deoxys Legend, which you might see in those M-board decks. Maybe you'll run into Flareon decks that use Flareon with Vengeance. You can still use it, even though Battle Compressor. I've seen Donphan Prime, Flareon. You might run into Flygon Dusknoir also. Those are just other decks. They're not popular. They're ideas, but they never turn out to be really popular in Legacy. But anyways, these are all the best decks in Legacy. I might make another video on this, and just if Legacy ever changes. I honestly don't see any more sets coming to Legacy, just because it's probably just strictly going to be Legendary Treasures, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, but you never know. You never know. They might have X and Y. I honestly doubt that would happen. So yeah, Legacy best decks. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, I'll see you guys on another PTCGO video. Thank you guys so much for the support recently on my channel. It's been insane. My growth has been very nice, and I'm happy to see that. So I gotta thank you guys so much for that. And I'll catch you guys on another PTCGO video. Peace out.